Hi, kids. Okay, greatest films of all time. Number 14, Casablanca, 1942. Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman, Claude Rains, Conrad Veidt, Sidney Greenstreet, Peter Lorre. Great cast. Directed by Michael Curtis. I've already done a video on Casablanca. I'll put the link in the description here. Go watch that. So I'm not going to do what I typically do for my videos for this one, instead, because this is the fourth uh, film starring Humphrey Bogart on this list. There have been other actors in films that have appeared more on this list, but Bogart is the most to appear as the star films on this list. He's in The African Queen, Treasure of the Sierra Madre, Maltese Falcon, and Casablanca. So instead, let's talk about Bogart, his upbringing, and his career up to Casablanca. So Bogart was born on Christmas Day, 1899, in New York. Christmas baby. Later on, Warner Brothers would change his birth date to somewhere like January 20th or something like that because Bogart was typecast as the bad guy, and they didn't want you knowing that the bad guy was born on Christmas Day. So, born Christmas Day, 1899, New York. His father was a doctor. He was a cardiopulmonary surgeon, not too shabby. But his mother was actually Maud, the real breadwinner of the family. She was an illustrator and she was also a suffragette. So part of Maud's illustrating career was doing drawings and portraits of young children. So young Humphrey had to model for his mom quite often, which apparently led to some teasing from the other children at school. Bogart never really liked school, wasn't a fantastic student. Also, his whole life wasn't a fan of phonies, and his family was pretty upper class. So Bogart had two younger sisters. He attended private schools. He went to Ivy League schools. He went to boarding schools, but he wasn't a good student. Didn't always show up. His parents were a little disappointed. They wanted him to go to Yale and become a doctor. But Bogey had other plans. Instead went and joined the Navy. Liked that quite a lot. After the Navy, wasn't sure what he was going to do. Eventually, found his way to theater. He was attracted to the hours that actors kept. Um, so he would eventually, I think 1922, he started to perform on Broadway. Pretty regular face on Broadway from 22 to 35. But the types of parts that Bogart got early in his career, so 1922, he's 22, 23 years old, he's playing the rich boy with the tennis racket, the phony that he didn't like, kind of the opposite of what he would later be typecast as. Bogart never had any acting training. He preferred to do it as he went along. So, big break, or one of the steps towards his break, comes in 1935. He's the heavy in a play called The Petrified Forest. His other co-star, Leslie Howard, is the lead in the play. Leslie Howard buys the rights to the play in case it gets adapted into a film. Sure enough, that happens. Warner Brothers buys it. They want to make the play into a film. And of course, they want to cast somebody else in the part that Bogey plays. Leslie Howard owns the rights, puts his foot down, says no, bring my co-star with him. So from that, Bogart signs a contract with Warner Brothers, and that is the part he gets typecast as. And from 1936 to 1941, he appears in 39 films, mostly as the gangster, the bad guy, the jailbird, that type of thing. But he uses that time and those parts to kind of hone his craft and make a role for himself, make a screen persona for himself. So then, 1941, High Sierra is a film that is written by John Huston, but not directed by him. Um, John Huston, drinking buddies with Bogart, wants Bogart to be in it. Studio has other ideas. They want an actor named George Raft, who is also sort of the heavy, the bad guy, the gangster in films, but a level above Bogart. George Raft doesn't want to do it. By the way, George Raft will appear on this list in a film coming up. So George Raft doesn't want to do it. Huston's more than happy. So Bogart gets the part of a breakthrough for him. And then Huston gets to direct his first film, which was on this list, The Maltese Falcon. Maltese Falcon was an adaptation of an earlier film, so it was a remake already. Raft, also the studio wanted George Raft for it. Raft had it in his contract that he didn't have to do remakes. So Raft is allowed out. Huston again is more than happy because he wants Bogey. Bogart gets the part. He is Sam Spade. He starts the archetype for the film noir detective, right? There we go. That leads us to Casablanca, a part that I think only Bogart could play. Again, he makes an archetype, the tough guy with the heart of gold, that only he could be. A large part of the success, the fun, Casablanca is Bogart. Bogart is the heart of the film. You go on many other films that are on this list. I don't know about you. I can't look at someone like Harrison Ford without thinking of Bogart. Paved the way for pretty much everything Ford has done. So, anyways, on the list because IMDb, your user ranked films, it is number 43. Metacritic, according to critics, it is number 5. AFI, 100 Greatest Movies, 1998, the first list, it was number 2. Casablanca was the second greatest film on that list. 2007, when they redid it, it was number 3. Also on AFI, it has 6 lines of their list of the 100 greatest movie quotes. 6 quotes from this film. The next closest, I think, is like Wizard of Oz with 3. Very quotable movie. And I would say my favorite quotes aren't even those 6 quotes. There are great lines in this movie. Of course, there's the misheard or misrepeated line, "Play it again, Sam." Not said. "Play it, Sam," like old times. "Play it. She can stand it, so can I." You know Casablanca. If you don't, go watch it. It is really good. Okay, so BFI list 2012. It was number 84 on the critics list, number 63 on the critics list in 2022. All those things add up to why it is number 14 on this list. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. We'll always have Paris.